7 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials, grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
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 Roll call, please.
Allen? Here. LaFour?
Here.
Mr. Ravitch?
Here.
Ricks?
Here.
Schultz?
Here.
Warren?
Here.
Yelenich?
Here.
Good to see everybody here tonight. Let's move on to the approval of minutes of the City Council meeting of May 19th. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on those minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We also have the budget meeting from the same date, May 19th. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on those minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments on any non-agenda items. If anybody would like to address the City Council, we would ask that you would come up to the podium, state your name and address to the clerk, and we allow 3 minutes. Anybody want to speak to anything that's not on the agenda? Doesn't look like it. So when we get to the agenda, council will first talk about it, and then I'll open it up for comments from the public, and then once that's over with, it comes back to council for further deliberation if needed. So that's where we're at. And those are down at the bottom of your agenda if you have one, which are available over on the table there, those rules. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes.
City Council, any changes? Motion to accept the agenda as presented would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. According to our rules, there is no discussion on the items on the consent agenda. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to items for consideration, which we have 6 this evening. The first one being consideration of special request from 67808 Leland Court, dwarf goats. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider a petition from Scott Bell to keep 2 dwarf Nigerian goats on property located at 67808 Lee Lane Court. The properties to the north, south, east, and west are developed with single-family residential. The subject property is approximately 0.64 acres in size. The property is roughly pentagonal in shape with and has a frontage of 77 feet on Lee Lane Court and varies in depth. As we have done with previous requests to keep animals, whether they're chickens or other, we have sent letters to all of the property owners whose properties adjoin this property. That included 8 properties. Prior to the packet going out to council, we received 2 letters, 1 for, 1 against. Over the weekend, we did receive 2 more letters, again, 1 for, 1 against. So we have 2 letters in favor of the goats, 2 letters opposing the goats. We did receive a phone call from somebody in the neighborhood, not one of the 8 that we mailed letters to, opposing the goats. As has been our past practice, we did provide council with the following information: the place where the applicant proposes to keep the animal, the number they are proposing, the distance from such place where they're keeping them to the boundary lines and neighboring properties, and the distance to the street and everything. So with that, there was one other question that was raised regarding the Fair Housing Act and reviewed. That was reviewed by our city attorney, and he did indicate that it wasn't relevant to this request, that it's more related to people that are going into public housing, that sort of stuff, or real estate agents showing houses in a particular neighborhood, things like that, but not related to a request to keep goats. So with that, based on the information provided by the applicant, I think there, as you can see, the distances to the neighboring houses, I think the closest houses are, sorry, I forget my bearing straight, 93 feet and 98 feet to the closest neighboring houses. With that, as in the past, the council's, or the administration has provided council with 2 motions for your consideration, as the ordinance provides that these are subject to the approval of council.
Thank you. Mr. Bell? Would you like to address council before council makes a motion?
Not much to say, really. The goats are brought in to provide therapeutic benefits to the family, which our doctor will write a letter stating that. Without getting into too much detail, I'd be glad to give you guys the letter. The goats have been on my property for 2 weeks. As you guys already know, I was here 2 weeks ago to let you know I had brought them home. I started this process over a month ago. My first call was to the Richmond Police Department. I understand that there's ordinances and all sorts of stuff like that. So we weren't just going to bring goats into the city without checking. We got funny feedback from the police department. They thought it was funny, and they said other people in town have these goats and you should be okay. They called me the following Monday and said, you actually need city approval. Well, we had bought the goats over the weekend. Not a big deal, but I started the process with Troy. So I've been following the steps all along, except I did bring them home 2 weeks earlier and before your approval. The goats aren't a nuisance. I understand the law. I'd like to be an example. According to the investigation, nobody in Richmond has these. So I'd like to be the example on what a responsible pet owner looks like in the city. I take full responsibility for the goats and the cleanliness and not to disturb any neighbors. I went to all of my neighbors and spoke to them. They all gave me overwhelming support except for one. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Council ready to make a motion before discussion?
Actually, I'd like to make a motion to postpone until our second meeting and workshop in July, to be fair to all parties involved, with the lawyers' recommendation. There is issues on health, safety, and welfare of any inhabitants in the city that needs to be determined, and I don't think I'm prepared, and I'm not sure the rest of the council, but that's how I feel.
Is there a second?
Can I say something?
No,
Not yet.
not now. Remember what I said about the rules.
I have a hearing impairment.
So do I. I wear hearing aids so I can hear. You know, we have microphones. But once council's done debating, then I'll come back to the,
Thank you very much.
you'll be the first one I come to. Okay, do I have a second?
Support.
Support. Discussion. This motion is debatable also. So it's something we can totally discuss before we turn it over to the public and then bring it back to the table.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I guess I would agree with the motion to postpone, just because this is the first one for goats. We do know of some other goats in the city, so I think we need to kind of look at this further and see what the ramifications are. And, I mean, I know the applicant has all the positive about it, which overall I'm in favor of goats, but I think we just need a little bit more time to go through it in detail and look at our ordinance to make sure that it's up to the current times. That was written so long ago that I think we need to address it and take a look at it and take Mr. Bell's concerns, take a look at that as well. So.
Okay. Anybody else? I would tend to agree. This is something new for us as far as the goats go. It's the first application that I know of and that we've had for other than chickens and one domesticated pig. We have not had a a farm animal other than horses on an established horse farm when it traded, the property traded hands, which we allow because the neighbors were all for it. We have the two letters that are against this are from those two neighbors that are directly behind the property. So that has some weight to it in previous discussions that the council has had, of course. We all know that. And quite often, they haven't gone through. But I think this is something that we need to have a more in-depth look at when we talk about this type of a farm animal in the community. And there are issues, I believe, that need to be explained to us even further, because there's 4 criteria that one of those 4 can cause denial. And from what I've seen so far, they teeter on whether or not any of it makes any of those 4. So the only concern I have is right now is the possibility of having to rehome them if council decides that they're not going to allow it. Then they need to be removed from the property, and council will have to deal with that, and the petitioner will have to deal with that, sadly. But I think we need to take a bigger look at this, given, I think, the implications to further farm animals within the city limits. That's my big hang-up right now. Chickens are one thing, it's poultry, but when we get into a 4-legged animal, where does that stop? And I think we have to make sure that what we're doing is right. Mike, you brought it up. The ordinance / charter provision on this is from approximately 1965, adopted in 66 when we became a city. Otherwise, parts of our community were cut in half, and one side was Richmond Township, the other side was Lennox Township. So I believe, back then we did have farms, and I happened to live next to one of the last farms in town, as Dennis was 2 doors down growing up, and it was nasty. I don't think we're talking the same thing here, but I'm afraid that if we go ahead and allow a goat, then what's to stop other animals that definitely are going to create a lot more possible nuisance type issues, such as smell and whatnot. So that's where I'm at with this. Any other discussion before I turn it over to the public? Sir, your name and address, please, to the clerk.
My name is Brian McCarty, address 35722 Woodside. I'm probably the second closest neighbor to Scott and Josephine. And I think the first thing I want to say is I've lived in a lot of places and I've had some interesting neighbors, but Scott and Josephine are some of the best people you'd ever want to meet. The other thing is I'm familiar with the miniature goats. My sister and brother-in-law had them back when my kids were little. They're very docile. They're good with kids. They don't bite. They don't bark. They wear pajamas. And I think they're probably a whole lot smaller than most of the dogs parading around our neighborhood. As far as the smell goes, we have certain areas in the neighborhood where you can smell the dog waste, but I never smell the goat waste. So I don't really see a problem. I welcome them. I'd rather see a few more goats and a few less aggressive dogs. That's just me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address this?
Hi, my name is Lenore Warren. I live at 67791 Ernst Court, which is directly behind this property. You guys got my message, obviously my letter. Just a couple of things that I want to kind of point out to you, because you can obviously read it. I have been living at my residence for over 20 years. When he came and talked to me, some of the things, I mean, it kind of caught me off guard, so I really didn't say yes or no. I kind of just talked to him. The thing that bothered me the most was he came to my house on a Thursday Within 48 hours, 2 goats appeared in my backyard. I called that morning, that following week on Monday morning, talked to Troy, and I said I was under the impression that we had to have a permit, but they're already in my backyard. They've been there for the last 2 weeks, and as far as I know, nothing has been done in those 2 weeks. They are very small at this point, but I mean, my concern is it a female and a male? Is it, and how big are they going to get? Because they're very small. The smell is my concern, along with, as of what I can see from my backyard in the last 2 weeks, they kind of wander around the whole entire backyard. So they're peeing and pooing all over the whole entire backyard. When you look up problems that happen because of goats, things like flies, rodents, mites, ticks are common problems that do occur after you have them. I live in the city limits. I feel like goats are kind of animals that should be out in the country, not in the city. So with all those things in mind, and after your discussion, what are we going to, if we table this until July, they're going to be allowed to also stay for June and July? They've already been there 2 weeks without permission, and now it's another 2 months. So that is probably my biggest concern, along with everything else that I've shared. So again, I am one of those people that, am against it. Unfortunately, my neighbor to the north could not come. He's an elderly man that has a hard time getting around. I'm the one that told him about the goats. So I just wanted to point that out as well. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I got to see if there's anybody else, then I can come back around. Anybody else want to address this item? Now you can go. Go ahead.
It's a male and a female goat, and the male is scheduled to be neutered tomorrow at 11 o'clock. As far as the feces goes and the droppings, they look similar to deer feces, little pellets like rabbits. So there's that, and there's also guidance in the ordinances on how to handle that, and that'll be followed. As far as running around the backyard, they do. I have a fenced-in backyard, so that's where they stay. And then there'll be something more permanent, obviously, if we get a permit, and I assume that the property will be reviewed and the permit will be renewed every year. So we're going to follow everything that's in the current ordinance, and I understand what's next to cow. And if the ordinance gets changed, because this thing is from 1963, does that impact where we're at now, or am I grandfathered in? So those are a few things. Another thing that runs around in my backyard all the time are my kids. So there's no difference. These things make no noise. They bring joy to everybody, and we have plans for the goats once we can get them registered as emotional support animals to take them to places like elderly homes. My wife donates her time to charitable foundations like McCrest. She's hosting fundraisers for them. We're involved in the community, and we plan on staying involved. As my neighbor said, we're good people, and we're responsible people, and we can handle these 2 goats. The goats usually get about 60 pounds. The mom and dad were about 50. That's a medium-sized dog. Oh, also, we have quote already for privacy fence, so that's in the works on our property as well.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address this issue? Being not, back to the table, council. Any further discussion on the motion to postpone?
Well, I guess if we postpone until the second meeting in July, I guess that'll give more time to see how the goats are within the backyard. I mean, some of the neighbors can see and maybe change their mind and be in favor of it, or maybe the other way and they're seeing problems. So I guess it'll be a little bit of a trial period as well.
Okay, anything else?
I just was wondering, you said a privacy fence. How soon were you thinking of doing something like that?
I could probably get it sooner rather than later. It's a large expense, and I prefer not to do it like right off the rip, but it's in the works for the house.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. I would suggest that you stay in touch with the city manager. And more than likely, if the meeting is that second,
Typically, due to the 4th, the July quarterly is always that second,
yeah,
or the third Wednesday, but the second meeting in July, yes.
right. We would probably, I would assume a determination no later than that third Monday of the month in July, if not sooner. Okay. Moving on. Item number 2 is consideration of special event request, Richmond Little League fireworks. Mr. City Manager?
City Council is scheduled to consider a special event request from Richmond Little League to conduct a fireworks display at dusk on Friday, July 4th. This request is being made in celebration of the Michigan Little League State Tournament, which begins Thursday, July 3rd. Richmond Little League is purchasing consumer-grade fireworks from Pyro Joe's and will be setting them off themselves. As you can see in the application, the first page, we talk about what days of the year we do allow consumer fireworks. So had they not been doing it on city property, they could have set these off, at their homes or at their businesses. But because it's on city property, I did require them to come and get a permit because they're doing it in conjunction with a public event on city-owned property. So.
Anybody here from Little League tonight? Is there a motion, council?
I'll make a motion to approve the request from Richmond Little League to conduct a firework display near Diamond E at dusk on Friday, July 4th, 2025, to celebrate the Michigan Little League State Tournament, subject to the following condition: that Richmond Little League will ensure the hike bike path is closed during the show.
Support. Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on this item? Any audience participation on this item? Being not, back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Hope for good weather there. Item number 3 is consideration of special event request, Richmond Foot and Ankle Clinic. Mr. City Manager.
City Council is scheduled to consider a special event request for a mobile food vendor from Richmond Foot and Ankle Clinic to have a mobile food vendor, Martinez Tacos and Catering, at their 20th anniversary event. Martinez Tacos specializes in tacos, nachos, and quesadillas. The event is Monday, July 7th, and the mobile food truck is scheduled for 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The event will celebrate Dr. Montufar's 20 years in practice, as well as incorporating it as a customer appreciation day and an appreciation for the staff as well.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the special event request from Richmond Foot and Ankle Clinic to have the mobile food vendor Martinez Tacos at the 20th Anniversary Customer Appreciation Day on Monday, July 7th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion on this item? I'm sorry, is there anybody here on this? Oh, well, come on up if you'd like to say something. Okay. Okay, well, motion to deny. You'll get your chance, yeah. Okay, so we have a motion. I'm going to be all for this also. It's a free event. They're not charging the public. If it was charging the public, I still have my issues with the trucks coming into town. But this is exactly what we want to see happen to some of these events. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Hope you have nice weather. Item number 4, consideration of board appointments. Mr. City Manager.
Terms on several boards and commissions expire as of June 30th, 2025. There's also one open seat on the EDC. Letters were sent to all of the individuals on April 8th, 2025, whose terms are expiring. We have several that responded. We have on the Cable TV committee members Mish, Ricks, and Shoddy all expressed their interest on being reappointed. On the library Library Board, we had Board Member McAllister resubmit for their reappointment. And then on Planning Commission, we had Commissioners Kaminsky, Mish, and Zink all send in their applications.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the Cable Commission?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Lori Mish, Lori Ricks, and Mike Shoddy to the Cable Commission for 3-year terms with expiration date of June 30th, 2028.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on this item? Those are all reappointments to those positions. Anything from the audience on this item? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass, and we thank them for accepting the reappointment. We also have a reappointment to the Library Board. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Heather McAllister to the Library Board for a 2-year term with an expiration date of June 30th, 2027.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on this item? Anything from the public on this? Back to the table. Heather, you sure?
No.
Doing a great job there.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. I would like to get your confirmation of my reappointment of Mike Kaminsky, Kevin Mish, and Mark Zink to the Planning Commission for 3-year terms. Is there a motion for that?
I make a motion to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Mike Kaminsky, Kevin Mish, and Mark Zink to the Planning Commission for 3-year terms with an expiration date of June 30th, 2028.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on that? They're all doing a great job. I sit on that Planning Commission, and all 3 of these guys, I'm glad to see they're coming back. They all are very into the Planning Commission and do their due diligence there before they make decisions. So we got a good board there also. Any other discussion? Any audience participation on this item? Troy, do you like them? Troy's our planner. Of course he likes them. All back to the table? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We thank all of them for taking the reappointments. Item number 5 is consideration of wastewater treatment plant, raw sewage pump installation. Mr. City Manager?
The City Council is scheduled to approve the purchase of the raw sewage pump control panel at the wastewater treatment plant. The upcoming 25-26 budget includes funding for the replacement that was reviewed by council as we went through the budget prep work. Due to the time concerns on ordering a new pump, the DPW director is requesting authorization to order the control panel for the raw sewage pump, as there's a 12-week lead time, and we're starting to do some of the work under the grant to get prepared for this. And the control panel is a sole source, so we're asking to waive the purchasing ordinance requirements.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll
Make a motion to waive purchasing ordinance requirements due to section 64-53A and to authorize the expense of $40,965 for the purchase of a control panel and related accessories from Kennedy Industries for the expenses charged the appropriate line item, wastewater treatment equipment replacement fund.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Jim, did you have anything to add to this?
Just to say that council, this is similar to council previously approving the purchase of the pumps themselves. This panel wasn't requested at that time because the design wasn't completed. So now that the electrical design is completed, we can proceed with the panel. So.
Good, good. Okay. Any other discussion at the table?
Yeah, I think it's just good for the residents to realize that every year we're constantly upgrading as the plant gets older. We have to continue to upgrade. So things might seem expensive, but it's a lot better than trying to do it all in one year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything else, council? Any audience comments on this item? Back to the table? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. I'm sorry, roll call. You just pointed that out again. Boy, do I have a terrible time with roll calls.
Mr. Rovich?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Ricks?
Yep,
Lafour?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Yelenich?
Yes.
motion does pass. Should have like a yellow light or something in front of it that blinks when it goes for roll call. I have terrible history at remembering it's a roll call vote. Even when my friend here circles it and puts funny things around it to remind me, I still forget about it. It's one of those crazy things. Item number 6, consideration of water tower, valve, and hydrant replacement. Mr. City Manager.
The city's water tower is periodically drained for the interior cleanout and inspection. Recently, the company informed us they'd be here this week. Our public service director did request a quote from Telto Contracting, who is in town doing underground work associated with Oak and Prestap Streets. So they are available to do the work this week while the tower is out of service. So due to the kind of the timeliness that's required with this, we are requesting waiving the purchasing ordinance requirements, as there's a benefit not otherwise obtainable by going out for competitive bids, and that is the coordination of the work while the tower's down. And so with that, we're requesting approval to replace a valve and hydrant at the base of the water tower that's been leaking. And Jim can answer any technical questions you may have.
Jim, anything else to add to this?
So the hydrant and the valve are both original from the 60s when the tower was built. As the city manager mentioned, when the tower is taken out of service, that valve needs to be closed, and currently it does have flow by, so we have to keep that hydrant open, and water is running for the duration that the tower is out of service. So we can only replace the valve and the hydrant when the tower is out of service. So it's either now or in 2 years or in 4 years. Obviously coordinate with the tower being out.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to waive purchasing ordinance requirements due to section 64-53D and authorize expenses of $20,525 for the replacement of the main valve and hydrant at the water tower by Telto Contracting, with expenses charged to the appropriate line item in the water fund.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion on this? It makes all the sense in the world to do it now. Otherwise, it's a 2-year wait. Yeah. Anything else on this? Anything from the audience on this? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion? Roll call, please.
Ricks. Ricks.
Yeah, I'm first.
LaFour.
Yes.
Yes. LaFour.
Yes.
Yelenich.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitch.
Yes.
Motion does pass. We move on to miscellaneous matters from the city manager. Sir, anything?
Previously, council had approved the sale of the vacant lot that the city had purchased, well, had a building on it when we purchased it. It's just south of the town clock. We demoed the kind of dilapidated structure that was there, and we are selling it to the owners of the parlor house, whose building is adjacent to it. So we did close on that today, and they are officially now the owners of that property. So
Very good.
It's nice to get that taken care of. And then today, myself and I think members of the police department, the fire department, and possibly our library gave tours of city facilities to the 3rd grade class from St. A's. So they were very energetic as they went through all of our facilities, and I think had a good time. And it's always kind of hard kind of explaining what happens at City Hall versus, a little more fun tours at the police and fire. But they all seem to enjoy it.
Very good. Very good. Moving on to council comments. Michael?
Nothing today, thank you.
Dennis? Nothing. Jim?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Emily?
Nothing, thank
John?
you.
Nothing tonight.
I'd just like to thank John and all of his people that help him on the city's end and the Richmond VFW for our Memorial Day services. Again, I think they were very good. They were well attended. And we had weather that, in between all that lousy weather that we had. So, again, thank you very much. Little League had a great opening day. If you know where Diamond D is, the entire outfield was filled with people. It was huge this year. It was a really, really nice showing there. And that was this past Saturday. So that takes us in today being the 2nd of June. Mostly, I think, half days, for the rest of the week at school. Half days?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tomorrow's the last
Wednesday,
full
Thursday,
day.
Friday. So watch for the kids. They're going to be out and about. Last day of school is Friday the 6th. So careful there. Planning Commission will be meeting right here at 7 o'clock on the 12th. Happy Father's Day to all those fathers on the 15th, and then the city council will meet once again at 7 o'clock on the 16th. Is there anything else that we need to add to the calendar? There is one event this month put on by the Historical Society. It's called the Heritage Festival and Fiber Festival. That will be happening on Saturday, the 28th, and Sunday, the 29th. That's a free event also. It's a pretty nice event they have there. Is there anything else that we need to add to the calendar at all? If there isn't, then we will be going into closed session. We need a motion to go into the closed session.
I'll make a motion to convene into closed session in accordance with Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976, as amended for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement as requested by administration.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion on this item? Is there anything from the audience on this item? We may be a while before we come back, but we will come back. Back to the table. Roll call, please.
Schultz.
Yes.
LaFour.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Yelenich.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Ricks.
Yes. Motion does pass. We'll take a 5-minute break before we go into closed session.